The second I hit the water, the music died. The festive chatter vanished, replaced by a suffocating silence. My daughter-in-law stood at the edge of the pool, peering down at me with a smirk that screamed victory, thinking she had finally broken me in front of the entire Palm Springs social elite. She had no idea that inside my purse, sitting dry and safe just 10 feet away, was a secret that would torch her picture-perfect life before the sun even came up. It was 8:47 on a Saturday night, December 24th. My daughter-in-law, Vanessa, had just shoved me into the pool and yelled for everyone to hear. "Looks like the mother-in-law can't swim and doesn't deserve to celebrate Christmas with the family, right?" I didn't scream. I didn't beg for help as I fell. I simply closed my eyes and felt the impact of the cold water against my body. What she didn't know was that in less than 12 hours, something I had set in motion would change her life forever. The pool water was freezing. I felt it soaking into my white linen dress, the one I had ironed with such care that very afternoon. The chlorine burned my eyes. I could hear the laughter above me, amplified in a strange, distorted way underwater. My son Michael was laughing, my own son. When I finally managed to surface, the warm air of the unseasonably hot California winter night hit my face. It smelled of gourmet barbecue and expensive perfume, that French scent Vanessa always wore. I had the bitter taste of chlorine in my mouth, mixed with something even more bitter: humiliation. I stayed there, treading water, looking up. The colored lights strung across the garden shimmered against the dark sky. Red, green, gold. Christmas lights that I had helped hang 3 days prior. I could see the faces of all the guests peering over the edge of the pool. 30 people, maybe more, all with their phones pointed right at me. The sound of camera shutters filled the air. You know what the worst part was? That nobody extended a hand to help me out. I swam to the ladder all by myself. My hands were shaking as I gripped the metal handrail. It was still warm from the day's sun. I climbed each step slowly, feeling the heavy weight of the water in my clothes. The dress clung to my body. My hair was dripping. I could feel the water sliding down my back, forming a puddle at my feet on the stone patio. I held my head high. Not a single tear fell. Not there, not in front of them. I walked barefoot to where I had left my sandals. The leather straps were warm when I touched them. I put them on. Each step made a wet, squishing sound against the stone. I could hear the murmur of conversations starting up around me. Stifled laughter, whispers. Vanessa was standing by the grill, a glass of wine in her hand. She was wearing a red silk dress, one of those designer pieces that cost more than I used to make in 3 months back when I was working. Her laugh was loud, forced. Michael was by her side, his arm around her waist. My son, my only son. I walked past them without saying a word. I picked up my purse from the garden table. It was a simple cloth bag, hand-knitted by my mother 30 years ago. Inside was my phone, my keys, and a white envelope I had brought with me that night. Vanessa looked at me. Her green eyes shone with something that looked like triumph. "Susan, it was just a joke. Don't be so dramatic." But I'll get to that. I walked toward the exit. The garden was large. There were potted flowers everywhere, roses, jasmine. I could smell their perfume mixed with the smoke from the grill. My feet left wet footprints on the stone path. "Mom," it was Michael's voice. I stopped. I didn't turn around. "Come back. Vanessa was just playing." I took a deep breath. The warm night air filled my lungs. I turned slowly. "Son, in 12 hours you are going to wish I had been the only person humiliated tonight." I saw his expression change. Confusion, then something like worry. "What do you mean?" I smiled, a calm smile. "Merry Christmas, Michael." And I left. The iron gate made a loud clang when I closed it behind me. My car was parked on the street, an old blue Volkswagen with 20 years of wear and tear. What he didn't know then was that this car had witnessed many things, many conversations, many secrets. I sat in the driver's seat. The fabric was cold despite the heat. I closed the door, and only then, when no one could see me, did I allow myself to break. The tears fell, hot against my cheeks, sobs that came from somewhere deep in my chest. I hit the steering wheel once, twice. The sound echoed in the closed space of the car. But before I continue with this story, I need you to do something for me. Check if you are already subscribed to the channel and leave a like. And tell me in the comments, from what part of the world are you listening to my story? Texas? New York? Florida? London? I really want to know how far my words have traveled. Now, to understand how I reached that moment, floating humiliated in that pool, I need to take you back 3 years with me. 3 years. 2 months and 17 days ago, to be exact. It was October 7th, a Tuesday, 2:30 in the afternoon. I was in my small apartment downtown. 2 rooms, a narrow kitchen where 2 people barely fit, a bathroom with white tiles that I had scrubbed that very morning. I had been living alone since my husband Robert died 6 years earlier. Cancer, 58 years old, too young. The phone rang. "Mom?" It was Michael. His voice sounded tense. "Son, what's wrong?" "I need to ask you something." I sat on the brown sofa that Robert and I had bought when Michael was 5. The springs creaked. I could see the building across the street through the window, clothes hanging on the balconies. The sky was that intense blue that only exists on autumn days. "Tell me." "Vanessa is pregnant. We're getting married. But she doesn't have family here. Her mother died years ago. Her father lives in Italy and they don't speak. I thought that maybe..." He fell silent. "What do you need, Michael? Could you come live with us? Just until the baby is born, to help out, so Vanessa doesn't feel so alone." My heart leaped. My son needed me. I was going to be a grandma. Of course. That simple answer changed everything. What I didn't know then was that Vanessa didn't want my help. She wanted something else. But that, well, I discovered that in the most painful way possible. I moved in with them a week later, October 14th, a Tuesday, 10 o'clock in the morning. I arrived with 2 suitcases and 3 boxes. My whole life fit in the trunk of my old Volkswagen. The house was beautiful, big, 3 stories. A huge garden with that pool where, 3 years later, I would end up soaked and humiliated. But that day, when I arrived, everything seemed perfect. The walls were white. The huge windows let in the sunlight. It smelled of new paint and fresh flowers. Vanessa welcomed me at the door. She was wearing jeans and a white blouse. Her belly was barely showing yet. 4 months pregnant. She smiled. "Susan, welcome." She hugged me. I smelled the perfume she used, something floral, expensive. You know what I thought at that moment? I thought everything was going to be okay. How wrong I was. The room they gave me was on the 3rd floor, the furthest from the master bedroom. I climbed the stairs with my suitcases. Every wooden step creaked under my feet. Michael helped me carry the boxes. I could hear his heavy breathing. Vanessa stayed downstairs. She said the doctor had recommended she not exert herself. The room was small but bright. A single bed, a white closet, a window that looked out onto the back garden. The curtains were light blue. When I touched them, the fabric was soft, new. It smelled like lavender. Vanessa had put a scent diffuser on the nightstand. "Do you like it, Mom?" Michael was at the door. His brown eyes, the same eyes as his father, looked at me with hope. "It's perfect, son." And in that moment, I really believed it. The first few days were good. Vanessa let me cook. I prepared the meals Michael had liked since he was a boy. Pot roast, oven-baked chicken with potatoes, homemade apple pie for dessert. The kitchen filled with those smells that reminded me of when Michael was little, when Robert was still alive, when we were a complete family. Vanessa ate little. She said the pregnancy took away her appetite. She would sit at the table, push the food around her plate with her fork, and after 3 or 4 bites, she would get up. "It's very delicious, Susan, but I can't eat anymore." What I didn't understand then was why she always threw the food in the trash when I was watching. She never put it in the refrigerator. She never said maybe she would eat it later. She simply threw it away. The sound of the plate scraping against the trash can, again and again. But let me rephrase that. It's not that I didn't understand, it's that I didn't want to see it. A week after my arrival, October 21st, a Saturday morning, 9:15, Vanessa came down the stairs dressed to go out. She was wearing a tight black dress, high heels, perfect makeup. Her blonde hair fell in waves over her shoulders. "Where are you going?" I asked. I was making breakfast, fresh coffee, toast. The smell of toasted bread filled the kitchen. "To have lunch with some friends." "Lunch? But it's 9 in the morning." She laughed, a short sound, cold. "First we're going shopping, then we'll have lunch. I'll be back late." She looked at the toast I was preparing. "Don't wait up for me to eat." The door closed behind her. The sound echoed through the empty house. I stood there, standing in the kitchen, with the toast in my hand. Michael had left early that morning. "Work," he said. He would return after 6. The house was silent, a heavy silence. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator, the tick-tock of the wall clock, my own steps as I walked from one side to the other. Do you know how many hours I was alone in that house that day? 9 hours and 43 minutes. I cleaned the whole house. I vacuumed the rugs. I cleaned the window panes until they shined. I folded the clean laundry. I made dinner. I set the table. And I waited. Vanessa returned at 10:30 at night. She was carrying bags from expensive stores, Prada, Gucci, Louis Vuitton. The sound of the crisp paper when she let them fall onto the living room sofa. "Hi, Susan, still awake?" She was smiling, but it was a strange smile. Her eyes weren't smiling. I made dinner. "Do you want me to heat something up for you?" "No, I already ate. I'm tired. I'm going to sleep." She went up the stairs. Her heels hit every step. Tap, tap, tap. The sound got lost when she closed her bedroom door. I remained seated in the kitchen. The dinner I had prepared was cold on the table. 4 hours of work, stuffed chicken, salad, homemade bread, all cold, all wasted. I put the food in plastic containers. I put them in the refrigerator. I closed the door. And then I saw my reflection in the stainless steel door. A 58-year-old woman, gray hair tied in a bun, wrinkles around the eyes, an old apron tied at the waist. I saw myself, and for the first time, I felt something like doubt. But then I thought of Michael, of the baby that was coming, of being useful, of being necessary. Actually, now that I think about it, I believe that was exactly what Vanessa wanted me to feel. The weeks passed. Vanessa went out more and more. Meals with friends, shopping, prenatal yoga classes that lasted 4 hours, spa, beauty treatments. She always came back late, always with more bags, more things. I cleaned, I cooked, I waited. Michael worked late almost every day. When he got home, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, sometimes 10 o'clock at night, he ate what I had saved for him, gave me a kiss on the forehead, and went up to his room. When was the last time we sat down to talk, really talk? I don't know. The days melted into one another. October turned into November, November into December. But there was one day, a specific day. December 3rd, a Thursday, 3:27 in the afternoon. Vanessa was already 7 months pregnant. Her belly was big, round. She complained constantly about back pain, swollen feet, exhaustion. That day I was on the second floor folding clean laundry in the guest room. The door to the master bedroom was ajar. I heard Vanessa's voice. She was talking on the phone. It wasn't my intention to listen, seriously. But then I heard my name. Susan is useful, yes. She does all the housework, cooks, cleans. It's like having a free maid. Laughter on the other end of the phone. Do I like her? Please, Andrea, she is unbearable. She's always here, always asking if I need anything, always with that martyr face. But Michael insisted she stay until the baby is born. After that, we're going to kick her out. I already thought of how to do it. My heart was beating so fast, I thought she might hear it from her room. No, he won't refuse. When I'm done with her, Susan is going to want to leave of her own free will. She's going to beg to go back to her miserable apartment. More laughter. I froze. The clothes I had been folding fell from my hands to the floor. A shirt, a pair of pants. They stayed there, wrinkling. I took a deep breath, ready to go down those stairs, open that door, and say everything I was feeling. But then I heard something else. Besides, Michael already signed the papers. The house is solely in my name. If Susan causes any trouble, if she says anything, we simply ask her to leave. She has no legal right here, nothing. She's just the meddling mother-in-law. The sound of her laugh filled the hallway, and it was in that moment that something changed inside me. I didn't go down the stairs. I didn't open that door. I didn't say anything. Instead, I picked up the clothes from the floor. I folded them carefully. I put them in the closet. I closed the door without making a sound. I went down the stairs slowly. My hands weren't shaking. My breathing was normal. I made dinner like always. I set the table like always. I smiled like always. Because what Vanessa didn't know was that I also knew how to keep secrets, and mine were much more dangerous than hers. That night, after hearing Vanessa talk on the phone, I did something I had never done before. I waited for everyone to fall asleep. It was 11:43 at night. The house was silent. I could hear the wind moving the branches of the trees in the garden. I went down the stairs without making a sound. My bare feet made no noise against the wood. I went to Michael's office, first floor, at the end of the hall. The door was closed, but not locked. I turned the handle slowly. The metal was cold against my palm. The door opened with a small creak. I turned on the desk lamp. A dim yellow light illuminated the room. Papers, files, a computer, framed photos of Michael and Vanessa. None featured me. I opened the top drawer of the desk. Pens, paper clips, business cards. Nothing important. The second drawer was locked. Why lock a drawer in your own house? I looked for the key. I knew where Michael kept important things. He had always done it in the same place since he was a boy. In a small jewelry box that belonged to his mother, my jewelry box, that I gave him when he was 15. That box was now on a high shelf behind some books. I found the key, small, gold, heavy in my hand. I opened the drawer. Inside was a manila folder, thick, full of documents. I took them out. My hands were trembling slightly. The paper crinkled too loudly in the silence of the night. The house, documents, deeds, contracts, everything in the name of Vanessa Sterling. Only her name. Michael had put the house he bought himself with his hard work, completely in her name. Date of transfer, September 23rd, 2 weeks before I moved in with them. I kept checking. Bank accounts. Michael had opened a joint account with Vanessa. She had total access. But there was something else. Transfers. Large amounts. 50,000, 30,000, 20,000. Going out of the account to another account that only had Vanessa's name. Dates. October 5th, October 12th, October 28th, November 15th. I took my phone out of my robe pocket. I took photos. 1, 2, 3, 4. The shutter sound was silenced, but every photo illuminated my face for a second with the flash of the screen. I put everything back exactly how I had found it. I closed the drawer. I returned the key to its place. I turned off the lamp. I left the office. I went up the stairs slowly. My legs were shaking. When I got to my room on the 3rd floor, I locked the door and sat on the bed. I looked at the photos on my phone. The evidence was there, clear, undeniable. But what was I going to do with it? That question kept me awake until 4 in the morning. The following days were strange. I knew what I knew, but I couldn't tell Michael, not yet, not without more proof, not without fully understanding what Vanessa was planning. So I did what she expected me to do. I cleaned, I cooked, I smiled. I was the perfect mother-in-law, the free maid, as she had called me. But now, when I saw her, when I heard her voice, when I saw her spending my son's money on purses that cost more than the monthly rent of my old apartment, I knew. And that knowledge was like a shard of glass in my throat. On December 15th, a Tuesday, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, something changed again. Vanessa was sitting in the living room, 8 months pregnant now. Her belly was huge. She complained about everything, about the heat, about the sofa being too hard, about the light being too bright. I was in the kitchen making dinner, roast chicken. The smell filled the entire ground floor. I heard someone knock on the door. Vanessa didn't move. "Susan, can you get that?" Of course, the maid gets the door. I wiped my hands on my apron and went to open it. At the door was a woman, about 40 years old, black hair, elegant suit, briefcase in hand. "Good afternoon. I'm looking for Mrs. Vanessa Sterling." "On whose behalf?" "I am her lawyer, Ms. Harper." Something cold ran down my back. "Come in, please." The woman entered. Her heels clicked against the marble floor. Vanessa got up from the sofa with difficulty. "Ms. Harper, come in. Let's go to the office." She looked at me. "Susan, bring us coffee, please." She didn't say please, could you? She said, "Bring us," like you speak to a waiter. I nodded. I went to the kitchen. I made the coffee. My hands were shaking while I poured the hot water. Why did Vanessa need a lawyer? I put the cups on a tray, sugar, milk, white cloth napkins. I walked toward the office. The door was ajar, and then I heard, "I want the papers ready for January. As soon as the baby is born, I want Susan to sign a document where she renounces any rights over her grandson." The lawyer's voice. "That is not legally binding. A grandmother has rights." "I don't care. I want her to sign it. And if she doesn't sign it, I want to know how I can prevent her from seeing the baby." "Well, if there is no court order, technically she could." "Then I'll get a court order. I'll say she's a threat, that she is mentally unstable, whatever is necessary." My breath stopped. The tray with the coffee wobbled in my hands. One cup clinked against another. "I also want you to review Michael's will. If something happens to him, I want to make sure she receives nothing. Not the house, not money, not custody of the child, nothing." "Vanessa, what you are asking is, it's what I need. Can you do it or not?" A silence. "I can draft the documents, but I need Michael to voluntarily sign the will. He will sign whatever I ask him to sign." Vanessa's laugh filled the hallway. And I, Susan, 58 years old, a mother who had sacrificed everything for her son, stood there with a tray of coffee, shaking, feeling my world collapse. I knocked on the door. 3 soft knocks. "Come in." I entered. I put the tray on the desk. My movements were mechanical. Vanessa didn't even look at me. She was reviewing some papers the lawyer had given her. "Thanks, Susan. You can go." "You can go." As if I were a dog that had performed its trick, I left. I closed the door. I walked to the kitchen. The chicken in the oven was ready. The timer was beeping. A constant beep, irritating. I turned off the oven. I took out the chicken. It was golden, perfect. I put it on the table. And then, only then, when I was completely alone in that kitchen, did I let the tears fall. But here is what I need you to understand. Sometimes we trust too much in those who don't deserve it. Has someone you love deeply also disappointed you? Someone for whom you would have given everything and who paid you back with betrayal? Share your story in the comments. I want to read it and know that I am not alone in this, because what happened after that day, after knowing that Vanessa wanted to erase me completely from my grandson's life, from my son's life, was what forced me to take a decision that, 3 months later, on that Christmas night, by the pool, would change everything. Only 3 months and 9 days remained until Vanessa pushed me into the water. But before getting there, I have to tell you about the birth of the baby, because it was that day when I understood exactly who Vanessa was and what she was capable of doing. The baby was born on January 8th, a Friday, at 4:17 in the morning. I was asleep when I heard Vanessa's screams. I woke up startled. My heart was beating hard. I ran downstairs. My feet stumbled on the last step. I grabbed the handrail just in time. Michael was helping Vanessa down. Her face was twisted in pain. She was wearing a white silk robe. Even in labor, Vanessa looked perfect. "Mom, call the hospital. Tell them we're on our way." I took the phone. My hands shook while I dialed. A nurse answered. I gave her all the information. Vanessa Sterling, 32 years old, first baby, contractions every 4 minutes. "I'm coming with you," I said when I hung up. Vanessa looked at me. Her green eyes shone in a strange way. Pain, but also something else. "No." "What do you mean, no?" "I'm the grandmother. I want to be there when my grandson is born." I said, "No, Susan. I only want Michael with me." Michael was looking for the car keys. He wouldn't look at me. Son, please. Mom, respect her decision. We'll talk later. The door closed, the sound of the engine, the car lights disappearing into the darkness of the early morning. I stood there, standing in the empty living room. 4:30 in the morning, the house in complete silence. The wall clock marked every second. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I sat on the sofa, the same sofa where Vanessa complained every day. The fabric was soft, expensive. It probably cost more than all the furniture in my old apartment put together. I waited. Do you know how long I waited for news? 7 hours and 32 minutes. Michael finally called at 11:49 in the morning. Mom, it's a boy. His name is Liam. Vanessa is fine. They are both fine. My heart filled with something warm. My grandson, Liam. When can I go meet him? Vanessa wants to rest today. Come tomorrow afternoon. But Michael, tomorrow, Mom, please. And he hung up. Tomorrow. I had to wait until tomorrow to meet my own grandson. That night, I didn't sleep. I tossed and turned in bed. The sheets were cold, the pillow too hard. I could hear every sound of the house, the creaking of the wood, the wind outside, my own breathing. I thought of Robert, of how he would have been a grandfather, of how he would have taken the baby in his arms with that smile of his, of how he would have cried with happiness. He wasn't here to see this, and I, who was here, was not allowed to be present. The next day, Saturday, January 9th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon exactly, I drove to the hospital. I had bought clothes for the baby, 2 outfits, nothing expensive. I didn't have much money, but they were soft, cotton, white with blue details. I had washed and folded them with care. I also brought flowers, white roses. I had bought them at a small flower shop on the way. The sweet smell filled my car. When I arrived at the hospital, the air conditioning hit me in the face. It smelled of disinfectant, of hospital food, of that particular smell that all hospitals in the world have. Room 304, 3rd floor. I took the elevator. My legs were shaking. I was wearing a simple dress, olive green, the same one I had worn at my nephew's baptism 5 years ago, and brown leather sandals I had bought on clearance. I knocked on the door. No one answered. I opened it slowly. The room was large, private, expensive. Surely Michael had paid for the best room in the hospital. There were flowers everywhere, red roses, orchids, lilies, huge arrangements with congratulatory cards. Vanessa was in the bed. She was wearing a pink silk nightgown. Her hair was styled. She had makeup on. Who wears makeup after giving birth? Michael was sitting next to her. In his arms, wrapped in a blue blanket, was Liam, my grandson. "Hi," I said softly. Michael looked up. He smiled. "Mom, come in." I walked toward them. I left the flowers on a table, already full of other arrangements. Mine looked small, simple, cheap next to the others. "Can I hold him?" Vanessa spoke before Michael. "He just fell asleep. Better not disturb him. Just a moment, please." I looked at Michael. He looked at Vanessa. She sighed. A long, annoyed sigh. "Okay, but only a minute." Michael put Liam in my arms. He was so small, so light. He smelled like a baby, that mixture of milk and new skin. His eyes were closed. He had dark hair, like Michael, like Robert. Tears fell before I could stop them. "Hello, my love. I'm your grandma." My voice cracked. Liam moved slightly. His little hands closed. His mouth made a small movement, and in that moment, holding him in my arms, I knew I would do whatever was necessary to protect him. "It's been a minute," said Vanessa. Not even 30 seconds had passed. "A little longer, please," I begged. "Susan, you are stressing me out. Give him back to Michael." Her eyes looked at me with absolute coldness. I breathed deeply, ready to say that I had as much right as she did to hold that baby. Ready to say that I had waited for this moment as much as anyone. But then I looked at Michael. His expression was tense, uncomfortable, trapped between his mother and his wife. And I didn't say anything. I gave Liam back to Michael. My arms felt empty, cold. "I brought clothes for him," I said, taking the outfits out of my bag. Vanessa looked at them. Her expression didn't change. "How cute! Thanks." She took the clothes and put them on a chair on the other side of the room, along with other bags and packages. She never looked at them again. "Well," said Vanessa, "I am very tired. I need to sleep." It was my signal to leave. "When are you coming home?" I asked. "The day after tomorrow, probably," answered Michael. "We'll let you know." "The day after tomorrow, Monday, January 11th. I nodded. I approached to kiss Liam's forehead one more time. Vanessa practically ripped the baby from Michael's arms and put him against her chest. As if I were going to hurt him, as if I were dangerous. I left the room. I walked down the long hospital hallway. My sandals made a soft sound against the linoleum floor. I passed by other rooms. I could hear babies crying, families laughing, celebrations. I went into the hospital bathroom. Small, white tiles, dirty mirror. I looked at myself in it, a 58-year-old woman. Cheap dress, no makeup, eyes red from tears, unshed tears. And only then, when I closed the bathroom door and made sure no one could see me, only then did I allow myself to really cry. Sobs that came from the deepest part of my chest, tears that fell and fell. I grabbed the sink. My legs were shaking. When had I become a stranger in my own son's life? When had I stopped mattering? But what I didn't know then was that things were going to get worse, much worse. Because when Vanessa and Liam came home, that was when everything changed. That was when Vanessa showed her true face. And that was when I started to plan exactly how I was going to destroy every lie she had built. Only 2 months and 16 days remained for that Christmas night at the pool. But before, in those 2 months, Vanessa would do things to me that I never imagined a human being could do to another. Vanessa and Liam returned home on Monday, January 11th at 6:35 in the evening. I had cleaned the whole house, every corner. I had prepared food for the whole week. I had washed all the baby's clothes and folded them in his room. I had put fresh flowers in vases all over the house, white lilies, my mother's favorites. When I heard the car in the driveway, I ran to the door. My heart was beating hard. I was going to help. I was going to be useful. I was going to be the grandmother Liam needed. Michael entered first. He was carrying the car seat. Liam was asleep inside. He looked so small in that huge seat. "Let me help you," I said, extending my hands. "I got it, Mom." Vanessa entered behind him. She was wearing tight jeans and a white blouse. How is it possible she looked like that 3 days after giving birth? She was carrying only her purse, an Hermes, caramel color. It probably cost $5,000. Susan, bring the suitcases from the car. It wasn't a question, it was an order. I went to the car. There were 4 suitcases, big, heavy. I dragged them one by one to the house. My back hurt. I was 58 years old, but I didn't complain. I took the suitcases up to the 2nd floor, the master bedroom, the room where Michael and Vanessa slept, the room with the private bathroom and walk-in closet and balcony overlooking the garden. When I went down, Michael was setting up the car seat in the living room. Vanessa was sitting on the sofa, checking her phone. "Can I hold Liam?" I asked. "He's asleep," answered Vanessa without looking up from her phone. "I just want to look at him." "And I told you he is asleep. Don't you understand English, Susan?" The tone of her voice, cold, cutting, like a knife. Michael looked up. "Vanessa." "What? Are you going to defend her instead of me now?" "I just gave birth. I'm exhausted. And the only thing I need is a little peace. But your mother can't leave us in peace for even 5 minutes." The words fell in the room like stones. Michael looked at me. He opened his mouth to say something. He closed it. He didn't say anything. "Sorry," I whispered. "I didn't want to bother you." I went to my room, 3rd floor. I climbed the stairs slowly. Each step was heavier than the last. I closed the door. I sat on the bed. And I stayed there, in silence, listening to the sounds of the house below me. Muffled voices, steps, the baby crying, my grandson crying, and me upstairs, alone, excluded. The following days were worse, much worse. Vanessa wouldn't let me near Liam. When I entered a room where the baby was, she would take him and leave. Without saying a word, she would just get up and walk out. I cooked. She didn't eat what I prepared. She ordered food from expensive restaurants. Sushi, Italian food, Thai food. She left the empty containers in the kitchen for me to throw away. I cleaned. She made messes. She left clothes thrown around, wet towels in the bathroom, dishes in the living room. It was like she was testing me, seeing how far she could go, how much I could take. And I took it, all of it, because Liam was there, my grandson, and I wasn't going to leave. I wasn't going to leave them. But then came January 28th, a Wednesday, 2:17 in the afternoon. Vanessa had gone out. She said she had a doctor's appointment. Michael was at work. I was alone in the house with Liam. He was in his crib on the 2nd floor. I was folding clothes in the guest room next door. I could hear him through the baby monitor. Suddenly, he started to cry. I waited. I thought maybe he would calm down on his own. But the crying increased, louder, more desperate. I went to his room. I entered slowly. The room smelled of baby powder, of that particular sweetness of newborns. "Hello, my love," I whispered. Liam was red from crying so much. His little hands were flailing, his mouth open, his eyes squeezed shut. I picked him up carefully. I put him against my chest. I started to rock him, slowly, back and forth, back and forth. "Shh, shh, I'm here. Grandma's here," I sang, softly. A song I used to sing to Michael when he was a baby. A song my mother used to sing to me. Liam began to calm down. His crying turned into small hiccups. Then silence. His eyes opened, dark, watching me, and he smiled. My grandson smiled at me. It was a reflex. 3-week-old babies don't really smile, but for me, it was real. It was the most beautiful smile I had seen in years. Tears fell down my cheeks. "I love you so much," I whispered to him. So much, my love. And then I heard the voice behind me. What are you doing? I turned around. Vanessa was in the doorway. I hadn't heard her arrive. Her eyes were staring at Liam in my arms. He was crying. I just calmed him down. I told you not to hold him without my permission. She approached. She snatched Liam from my arms. The movement was rough. Liam started crying again. Vanessa, please, get out of this room. Now. I was just helping. Helping? You? The only thing you do is get in the way. The only thing you do is meddle where you aren't wanted. Her voice was rising in volume. Liam cried louder. Lower your voice. You're scaring the baby. Vanessa laughed, a cold laugh, without humor. Are you telling me how to take care of my son? You? The one who raised a man so weak he can't even defend his own wife? The words hit me like punches. Don't talk about Michael like that. I will talk however I please. This is my house, my family, my life. You are just the old woman who lives upstairs because my husband is too soft to kick you out. I stood there, standing, looking at her, her face twisted with rage. Or maybe it wasn't rage. Maybe it was pleasure. Pleasure in hurting me. I breathed deeply, ready to scream at her, ready to tell her everything I knew, everything I had discovered, the money, the papers, the lawyer, the plans. But then I looked at Liam, crying in her arms, helpless, needy, and I didn't say anything. I left the room. I closed the door carefully behind me. I walked to the hall bathroom. I closed the door. I turned on the faucet to drown out the sound, and I screamed. A silent scream, with my mouth open but no sound, hands gripping the sink, nails scraping the ceramic. Then I washed my face with cold water. The water ran down my face, mixing with the tears. I couldn't tell which was which. I looked at myself in the mirror, water dripping from my chin, red eyes, defeated expression. But here is what I need you to understand. While I tell you all this, I wonder where you might be listening to me from. Madrid? Buenos Aires? Mexico City? Lima? Write the name of your city in the comments. I would love to know how far my words reach, to know that I am not alone in this pain. That night, when Michael got home from work, 9:15, Vanessa told him her version of what had happened. I was in the kitchen. I could hear them in the living room. Your mother took Liam without my permission. I told her 1,000 times not to do it. But she doesn't respect me. She doesn't respect my rules. She doesn't respect that I am the mother. Michael's voice, tired. Mom just wants to help. Help? Michael, I need you to understand something. I can't have someone in my house who doesn't respect my boundaries. I can't raise my son in an environment like this. A silence. What are you saying? I am saying your mother has to leave. My heart stopped. Vanessa, I can't. Can't what? Choose between your wife and son and your mother? Because that is exactly what I am asking you. Her or us? Another silence. Longer, heavier. And then Michael said something that changed everything. I'll ask her to leave. I'll give her a week to find a place. The words floated from the living room to the kitchen where I was. They passed through the hallway. They climbed the walls. They dug into my chest like shards of glass. My own son, my only son, choosing her over me. But what they didn't know, what Vanessa couldn't have imagined, was that I had been waiting for this moment. Because that same afternoon, before Vanessa returned, before all the drama, I had found something else, something that changed everything. Only 11 months and 26 days remained until that Christmas night at the pool. And in those months, I was going to gather every piece of evidence, every lie, every secret. Because what Vanessa had planned for me, I was going to turn into her own destruction. That afternoon, before everything exploded, something important had happened. 11:23 in the morning. Vanessa had gone out supposedly to the doctor. I was cleaning the second floor. I vacuumed the hallway carpet. I cleaned the guest bathroom. And then I entered the master bedroom to change the sheets. The bed was unmade, the silk sheets tangled. It smelled of Vanessa's expensive perfume. I started stripping the sheets. I lifted the pillows, and under one of them I found a phone. It wasn't Vanessa's main phone. She always carried the latest model iPhone. This one was different, an old Android phone with a simple black case. My heart started beating faster. Why would someone have a second phone hidden under their pillow? I picked it up. The screen lit up. It didn't have a password. It opened directly. There was only one messaging app and conversations, many conversations. I opened the first one with a contact saved as J. The messages made me feel like the floor was disappearing beneath my feet. I miss you. When will I see you? Vanessa, this has to stop. You are married. You have a baby. My marriage is only for convenience. I already told you. Michael has money. That is all I need from him. But I truly want you. I don't know. This is wrong. See you Thursday at the usual hotel, room 512. Date of the message, January 15th, 1 week after giving birth. I kept reading, message after message, hotel dates, words of love, promises. Vanessa telling this man, this Jay, that soon she would have all of Michael's money, that the baby was her insurance, that once she had what she needed, she would divorce. My hands shook so much I almost dropped the phone. I took out my own phone. I took photos of every conversation, of every message. My thumb moved fast across the screen. Click, click, click. 50 photos, 100, all the evidence. I put the phone exactly where I had found it, under the pillow, on the right side. I finished making the bed. My movements were automatic, mechanical. And that was when Vanessa arrived, when she came up and found me with Liam, when she exploded. But now I knew the truth. Vanessa didn't just want me out of the house. She didn't just want to keep me away from my grandson. She was destroying my son from the inside, stealing his money, cheating on him, using her own son as a tool to get what she wanted. And I had the proof. That night, after hearing Michael say he would ask me to leave, I went up to my room. 10:47 at night. I sat on the bed. I took out my phone. I looked at all the photos I had taken, the photos of the bank documents, the money transfers, the house deeds, and now the messages, the infidelity, the plans. I had everything. Do you know what the first thing I felt was? It wasn't victory. It wasn't relief. It was sadness, a deep and dark sadness, because I knew that when I showed this to Michael, his world would collapse. My son, who believed he was building a family, would discover that everything was a lie. But I had to do it. For him, for Liam, for me. Only it wouldn't be immediately. Not yet. Because if I showed him the proof in that moment, Vanessa could deny it. She could say I had fabricated everything. She could cry, manipulate, do whatever was necessary to maintain control. No, I needed the perfect moment, the moment where she couldn't escape, where everyone would see who she really was, and that moment would arrive. In exactly 11 months and 26 days, at Christmas. The next day, January 29th, a Thursday, 8 in the morning, Michael knocked on my bedroom door. "Mom, can we talk?" I opened the door. My son was there, dark circles under his eyes, tired expression. When was the last time he slept well? "Of course, son, come in." He sat on the edge of my bed, hands between his knees. He wouldn't look me in the eye. "Mom, Vanessa is very stressed. The baby, the hormones, everything. And she feels that your presence here makes her more tense." Every word cost him. "Are you asking me to leave?" Silence. "Just temporarily, until things calm down, maybe a few months." I breathed deeply. I kept calm. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I maintained my dignity. "Michael, look at me." He looked up. His eyes were Robert's, the eyes of the man I loved for 30 years. "If I leave now, when will I come back? Will you let me see Liam? Will I be part of his life?" "Of course, Mom. You are his grandmother." "Do you promise me?" "I promise you." Lie, and we both knew it. Once I left that house, Vanessa would find 1,000 reasons to keep me away. But I nodded. "Okay, I'll leave. But I need 2 weeks to find a place and organize everything."
Michael seemed relieved. "Thanks, Mom. I knew you would understand."
He got up, he kissed my forehead, and he left. In that moment, sitting on my bed, I made a decision. I would leave that house, but I wouldn't leave in silence, and I wouldn't leave forever. The following days were strange. I was still in the house, but it was like I was a ghost. Vanessa ignored me completely. She didn't even look at me when she entered a room. Michael was absent, always working, always busy. And I observed. I took mental notes. I saw how Vanessa went out 3 times a week, always Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Always from 2 to 6 in the afternoon. Always returning with shopping bags as an alibi, but I knew where she really went. On February 3rd, a Tuesday, I followed her. I waited for her to leave. 2:10 in the afternoon. Her black Mercedes, license plate AXD432. I followed her in my old blue Volkswagen. I stayed 3 cars back, like in the movies. She drove for 20 minutes. She left our neighborhood, crossed downtown, arrived at a hotel, the Grand Lux, 5 stars. She entered the underground parking. I parked on the street. I waited. 5 minutes, 10, 15. I entered the hotel lobby. Marble everywhere, crystal chandeliers, thick carpets that muffled every step. It smelled of expensive perfume and money. I sat on a sofa in the lobby, behind a newspaper I took from a table. I waited. And then I saw him. A man, tall, maybe 40 years old, dark hair, expensive suit. He came out of the elevator. He walked toward the exit. 3 minutes later, Vanessa came out, hair messy, lips red with freshly applied lipstick, a smile on her face. I took photos with my phone, discreetly, of him leaving, of her leaving, of the hotel name, of everything. More evidence. Actually, let me rephrase that. It wasn't just evidence, it was ammunition. On February 12th, I moved out of the house. A Wednesday, 9 o'clock in the morning. Michael helped me take my things. The same 2 suitcases and 3 boxes I had arrived with. My whole life fit in the trunk of my car, again. I found a small apartment, a studio, in an old building on the other side of town. $500 a month, all I could afford with my pension. 1 room, a bathroom, a kitchenette, thin walls. I could hear the neighbors fighting, dogs barking, cars passing on the street. But it was mine. "Will you be okay, Mom?" asked Michael while putting the last box on the floor. "I'll be okay, son. I'll call you. I'll send you photos of Liam. You can come visit him." Another lie. We both knew it. "Sure, son." He hugged me. He smelled like the cologne I gave him for his last birthday, like my boy, who wasn't a boy anymore, who had grown and turned into a man who chose the wrong woman over his own mother. I love you, Mom. And I love you, Michael, more than you will ever know. He left. I heard his steps going down the stairs. The sound of the building door closing. I stood there, standing in my new apartment, surrounded by boxes, in complete silence. And I smiled, because they thought they had won. They thought they had taken me out, that they had defeated me. What they didn't know was that I had just entered the most dangerous phase of my plan. The following months were of preparation, investigation, documentation. I hired a private investigator. I spent almost all my savings, but it was worth it. He got everything. The full name of the lover, Julian Vance, his address, his place of work, photos of him and Vanessa entering and leaving hotels, records of rooms booked in his name. I also hired a lawyer. He told me exactly what documents I needed, how to present the case, what the rights of a grandmother were, how to protect Liam. And I waited. The months passed. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Michael called me once a week. Short conversations. Uncomfortable. He sent me photos of Liam. Every photo was like a knife in my heart. My grandson growing up without me. Vanessa never called me. Not once. I knew she thought she had won, that she had successfully eliminated me from their lives. But what she didn't know was that every day that passed, I got stronger, more prepared, more determined. And then came December, and with it the invitation. December 18th, a Friday, 3:42 in the afternoon. Michael called me. Mom, Vanessa and I are organizing a Christmas party on the 24th at the house with friends and family. Vanessa says it would be good if you came. For Liam. My heart leaped. Are you sure? Yes, come, please. It was a trap. I knew it. Vanessa was planning something. But so was I. I'll be there, son. Only 6 days remained for that night at the pool. 6 days for everything to change, forever. The night of December 24th arrived, 7 o'clock in the evening. I drove toward the house that had once been my home. My old blue Volkswagen looked out of place among the Mercedes and BMWs parked on the street. I had put on my best dress, that white linen dress I had ironed with such care, brown leather sandals, a simple pearl necklace that Robert gave me on our 20th anniversary. I had put on light makeup, mascara, a little blush, pale pink lipstick. I wanted to look dignified, presentable, even though inside I felt like I was crumbling. I rang the bell. I could hear music inside, laughter, voices, the sound of a party in full swing. Michael opened the door. He smiled when he saw me. Mom, you're late. Traffic, I lied. The truth was, I had been sitting in my car for 20 minutes gathering courage, touching the white envelope I carried in my purse. The envelope that contained copies of everything, every document, every photo, every proof. I entered. The house was full of people, 30 people, maybe more, all dressed elegantly, expensive clothes, shiny jewelry, glasses of champagne in their hands. The Christmas lights I had helped hang the year before shone everywhere. Red, green, gold. The Christmas tree in the corner of the living room was huge, decorated with gold ornaments and red velvet bows. It smelled of food, turkey, ham, freshly baked bread, and of Vanessa's perfume. that French perfume that permeated every corner of the house. "Susan, how good that you could come." Vanessa appeared at my side. She was wearing a red silk dress, tight, expensive. Her blonde hair fell in perfect waves, perfect makeup, perfect smile. Everything about her screamed success and control. She kissed me on both cheeks, the empty gesture of someone complying with social appearances. "Thanks for inviting me," I said. "Family is important, especially at Christmas, right?" Her green eyes looked at me with something resembling amusement, as if this were a game, as if I were a chess piece she had already planned how to eliminate. "Where is Liam?" I asked. "Sleeping upstairs. You can see him later. Now come, there is food outside, by the pool." She took me by the arm. Her nails, perfectly painted red, dug slightly into my skin. She guided me through the house. We passed by groups of people. Some looked at me. Others didn't even notice my presence. We went out to the garden. There it was, the pool, illuminated with lights underwater, bright blue against the darkness of the night. Around it were tables with food, a grill with meat roasting. More colored lights hung in the trees. The air was hot, heavy, summer at its peak. I could feel the heat sticking to my skin, how the linen dress adhered to my back. "Susan, come, I want to introduce you to someone." Vanessa led me toward a man, tall, dark hair, expensive suit. I recognized him immediately from the photos. Julian Vance, the lover. "Julian, this is Susan, Michael's mother." "Susan, Julian is a very close friend. He has helped us a lot with some legal matters." Julian extended his hand. I shook it. His palm was damp, uncomfortable. "Nice to meet you," he said. "The pleasure is mine," I responded. I looked at Vanessa. She was smiling. Enjoying this? Introducing me to her lover? In my son's house, at his Christmas party. The audacity was impressive. "I'll go find something to drink," I said. I walked away. I could feel their eyes on my back. I walked toward the drink table. I took a glass of water. My hands were trembling slightly. I hid it by holding the glass with both hands. The next hour passed in a haze. I talked to some people, strangers, friends of Vanessa. No one really knew me. No one knew who I was. Just the mother-in-law, Michael's mother, the older woman in the simple dress. I saw Michael. He was laughing with a group of men by the grill, a beer in his hand, relaxed, happy, oblivious to everything. When was the last time I saw him so happy? And my heart broke a little more, because I knew that in a few hours that happiness would disappear. It was 8:30 at night when I went up to see Liam. No one stopped me. I climbed the stairs. The same stairs I had climbed 1,000 times when I lived there. The baby's room was on the second floor. I opened the door slowly. Moonlight entered through the window. Liam was in his crib. 11 months now. He was no longer the newborn I had held in the hospital. He was a big baby, robust, with dark, curly hair. I approached. I watched him sleep, his chest rising and falling, his little hands closed in fists, his long eyelashes resting on his cheeks. "Hello, my love," I whispered. "Grandma is here." I extended my hand. I touched his hair, soft, silky. "Everything is going to change tonight, but I promise you it is to protect you, to protect your dad, even though you don't understand it now." I kissed my finger and put it gently on his forehead. "I love you. I will always love you." I left the room. I closed the door, and I went down. It was 8:47 at night when everything exploded. I was by the pool, looking at the water. The underwater lights made hypnotic patterns, blues, greens, purples. Vanessa approached. She was holding a glass of red wine in her hand. She was a little drunk. I could see it in her eyes, in how she moved. "Susan, are you having fun?" "A lot, thanks." "Good, because I need to talk to you." Her voice changed, colder, harder. "About what?" "About the fact that you are no longer welcome here. This will be the last time you see Liam, after tonight. I don't want to see you again. Not you, not your cheap dress, not your martyr face." The words came out of her mouth like poison. "You can't do that. I am his grandmother." "I can do whatever I want. This is my house, my family, my son, and there is no place for you in it." Some people were starting to notice our conversation, to look, to approach. "Michael won't allow that," I said. Vanessa laughed, a loud, shrill laugh. "Michael? Michael does what I tell him to do. He is so weak, so pathetic, like you." Her voice was rising. More people were looking now. "You are a manipulator," I said. My voice came out louder than I intended. "And what are you going to do about it? Cry? Complain? You are nobody, Susan. You are an old woman with no money, no power, nothing." She took a step toward me. I was at the edge of the pool. I could feel the water splashing my sandals. "Vanessa, get away from me." "Or what?" And then she did it. She pushed me, her two hands against my chest, hard, sudden. I fell backward. The world spun. I saw the sky, the colored lights, the faces of the people watching me, and then the water, cold, enveloping my whole body, entering my nose, my mouth, the taste of chlorine, the muffled sound of laughter above. When I surfaced, gasping, I heard her voice. Vanessa shouting so everyone could hear. "Looks like the mother-in-law can't swim and doesn't deserve to celebrate Christmas with the family, right?" The laughter exploded. Loud, cruel, everyone laughing. Michael too, my own son, with a beer in his hand, laughing while I floated humiliated in the water. Phones pointing at me, flashes, photos, videos, and me there, soaked, humiliated, defeated. Or that was what they thought. Because what nobody knew was that in my purse, on a chair by the garden table, was that white envelope. And on my phone I already had an email scheduled, with all the proof, all the photos, all the documents. That email would send automatically at 7 o'clock the next morning, to Michael, to Michael's family, to Vanessa's boss, to her social circle, to everyone. Only 10 hours and 13 minutes remained. I swam to the ladder. My movements were slow, deliberate. The water weighed down my dress, weighed down my hair, weighed down my soul, but I held my head high. I climbed each step. 1, 2, 3, 4. Water dripped from my clothes, formed a puddle at my feet. The laughter continued. Camera flashes lit up the night. I walked barefoot to where I had left my sandals. The straps were warm when I touched them. I put them on. Each step made a wet sound against the garden stone. I passed by Vanessa. She had that triumphant smile, eyes shining with victory. Julian was by her side, laughing too, their hands almost touching. So obvious, so shameless. I passed by Michael, my son, who had stopped laughing but hadn't done anything to defend me. He just looked at me with that uncomfortable expression, ashamed, as if I were the problem. I picked up my purse. The white envelope was inside, intact, dry, waiting. Susan, it was just a joke. Don't be dramatic, Vanessa said behind me. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I walked toward the exit. Mom, Michael called. I stopped. I turned slowly. Water still dripped from my dress, from my hair. I could feel the drops sliding down my back. Come back! Vanessa was just playing. I looked at my son, really looked at him. I saw the boy I had raised, the man he had become. And I saw a stranger. Son, in 12 hours, you are going to wish I had been the only person humiliated tonight. His expression changed, confusion, then concern. What do you mean by that? I smiled, a calm smile, serene, the smile of someone who knows exactly what is going to happen. Merry Christmas, Michael. Merry Christmas to everyone. I walked to my car. The iron gate clanged when I closed it behind me. That sound echoed in the quiet night, final, definitive. I sat in the driver's seat. I closed the door. The silence enveloped me. And only then, when no one could see me, when the car windows protected me from the world's gaze, did I allow myself to feel. The tears fell, hot against my cold cheeks, sobs coming from somewhere deep. I hit the steering wheel, once, twice. The sound echoed in the closed space. But after 5 minutes, I dried my tears. I took a deep breath. I took my phone out of my purse. I opened the scheduled email. It was ready, scheduled to send at 7 o'clock in the morning, in 11 hours and 52 minutes. The recipients were all there. Michael, his boss, Vanessa's parents in Italy, close friends, 37 contacts in total. The subject of the email said, "The truth about Vanessa Sterling." I attached one last thing, the video. Someone at the party had uploaded a video to social media of me falling into the water, of the laughter, of the humiliation. I had downloaded it while I waited in the car. Now that video would go along with everything else. The bank transfers, the property documents, the hotel photos, the messages from the secret phone, everything. I updated the email. I reviewed it once more, and I confirmed the scheduled send. I drove home, to my small apartment. Traffic was light, streets decorated with Christmas lights, families walking, couples holding hands, the world celebrating while my world crumbled. I arrived at my building at 10:23 at night. I climbed the stairs. My shoes, still wet, left marks on each step. I entered my apartment. One room, small, but mine. I closed the door. I locked it. I took off the wet dress. The fabric stuck to my skin. I let it fall to the floor. A wet pile of white linen, ruined like everything else. I showered. The hot water burned my cold skin. I stayed under the stream for 20 minutes, 30, until the water started to get cold, until my fingers wrinkled. I put on my pajamas, an old t-shirt and cotton pants. I sat on my bed. The mattress creaked under my weight. I set an alarm on my phone for 6:45 in the morning. I wanted to be awake when the email sent. I wanted to see the exact moment. I tried to sleep, but sleep didn't come. I stared at the ceiling. The cracks in the plaster formed patterns, lines connecting, separating, reconnecting. I thought of Robert. What would he say if he could see me now? He would probably tell me I was being too dramatic, that I should simply talk to Michael, explain everything calmly. But Robert hadn't met Vanessa. He hadn't seen that coldness in her eyes, that calculated cruelty. The hours passed, slow, heavy. I listened to every sound in the building. Neighbors upstairs walking, someone playing music, cars on the street, dogs barking. At 6 in the morning I got up. I hadn't slept at all. I made coffee. The smell filled the small apartment, bitter, strong. I sat by the window. The sun was starting to rise, the sky changing from black to dark blue to orange. December 25th, Christmas. A day that should be about family, about love, about peace. But today would be the day where everything would change. At 6:45, I took my phone. I opened my email. The scheduled message was there, ready, waiting. The minutes passed. 6:50, 6:55, 6:58, 6:59. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. 7 o'clock in the morning. The email sent. I watched it change from scheduled to sent. 37 emails going out, flying through cyberspace, carrying the truth to 37 people. I stayed there, sitting, waiting. The phone rang at 7:23 in the morning. Michael. I didn't answer. It rang again, and again, and again. At 7:45, I heard my phone vibrating with messages, one after another after another. I opened the app. Michael. Mom. What is this? Michael. Call me, please. Michael. I can't believe it. Is this real? Michael. Mom. Answer the phone. I waited. Let him process it. Let him read every document, see every photo, understand every lie. At 8:15, he called again. This time I answered. Mom. His voice sounded broken, destroyed. I could hear he had been crying. Son, why didn't you tell me before? Why did you wait so long? Because you needed to see it yourself. You needed all the proof. If I had told you months ago, she would have convinced you I was crazy, that I was lying. Silence on the other end, heavy breathing. It's all here. The messages, the photos, the money, everything. I know. She cheated on me. All this time, since before Liam was born. I know, son. I'm so sorry. I heard a sob. My son, my boy, crying. Where is she now? I asked. She left. She took some things and left. She said she would come back with a lawyer, that she was going to take everything from me. The house, the money, Liam. She can't. The house was in your name originally. The transfer can be annulled because it was done under fraudulent pretenses. I already spoke to a lawyer. He can help you. You already spoke to a lawyer? Months ago, Michael. I have been preparing for this for almost a year. Another silence. Come home, Mom, please. Liam needs you. I need you. Tears fell down my cheeks, but this time they were different. They weren't tears of pain. They were of relief. I'm on my way. I drove to the house, my house, because it had always been my house too. I arrived at 9 in the morning. The garden still had remnants of last night's party. Empty glasses, plates, napkins on the floor. The pool shone under the morning sun, calm, as if nothing had happened. Michael opened the door before I knocked. He looked terrible. Red eyes, messy hair, the same clothes as last night. And he hugged me, hard, desperate. like when he was a boy and had nightmares. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. I should have defended you. I should have—" "Shh. It's over. I'm here." We stayed like that, in the entrance, hugging, while the Christmas sun illuminated everything around us. "Where is Liam?" I asked. "Sleeping still. He's been restless all night." We went up. We entered the baby's room. Liam was awake now, standing in his crib, his little hands gripping the bars. When he saw me, he smiled. A big smile, real. "Mama," he said. It wasn't my name. He was starting to talk. He probably called everything Mama, but for me, it was perfect. I picked him up. I put him against my chest. He smelled like baby, like morning, like a new beginning. "Hello, my love. Grandma's here, and I'm not going anywhere." Michael was at the door, watching me, tears in his eyes. "I never should have let you go, Mom." "No, you shouldn't have, but you did, and that is something you will have to live with." My words were hard, but necessary, because he needed to understand, needed to know that his actions had consequences. I know, and I will spend the rest of my life making up for it. The following days were chaotic. Vanessa tried to come back, with a lawyer, threatening, demanding. But Michael's lawyer had everything documented. Every lie, every deception, every illegal transfer of money. The money she had taken from the accounts had to be returned. The house went back to Michael's name. And when she asked for custody of Liam, the judge saw the evidence. The messages with Julian, the photos, the infidelity, the plan to manipulate Michael. They gave her shared custody, but limited, supervised visits, until she proved to be a stable mother. Vanessa moved in with Julian, to a small apartment, nothing like the house she had lost, nothing like the life she had planned. And I moved back, to my room on the 3rd floor. Michael insisted. Liam needed me. He needed me. This time it was different. I wasn't the maid. I wasn't the tolerated mother-in-law. I was the mother, the grandmother, part of the family. But there is still something I wonder, something that keeps me awake some nights. I still wonder if I did the right thing. Did I destroy a marriage? Did I destroy my grandson's mother? Did I humiliate Vanessa publicly, the same way she humiliated me? Was it revenge, or was it justice? And you, what would you have done in my place? If someone cheated on you, humiliated you, tried to erase you from the lives of the people you love, would you stay silent? Or would you fight with everything you have? Write it in the comments. I really want to know what you think. Because this decision, the decision to send that email, to expose every secret, changed everything, forever. After that day, Michael changed. He became stronger, more determined. He started therapy to process everything. The betrayal, the manipulation, the damage almost done to him. Liam grew. He is 2 years old now. He calls me Lita, his version of Abuelita. Every morning when he wakes up, he yells my name, runs to my room, climbs into my bed, and we stay there, telling stories, laughing. Vanessa sees him twice a week. The visits are tense. She tries to be the perfect mother during those hours. But Liam senses the fakeness. Children always sense it. 3 months ago, I ran into Vanessa at the supermarket. It was accidental. I was in the cereal aisle. She appeared at the other end. We looked at each other for a long moment. Neither spoke. She looked different, thinner, paler, hair not so perfect, clothes not so expensive. The marks of a life she had planned meticulously and that had crumbled. She opened her mouth as if she were going to say something. Then she closed it, turned her cart, and left. And I stayed there, among the cereal boxes, feeling something strange. It wasn't satisfaction, it wasn't victory, it was sadness, for what could have been, for the family Liam could have had, for the time lost. But there was also peace, because I had done the right thing. I had protected my son, my grandson, myself. Sometimes love means fighting. It means not staying silent. It means defending what is yours, even if it hurts, even if it costs you everything. And I was willing to pay that price. That Christmas night, when I fell into the water, when I heard the laughter, when I felt the deepest humiliation, something inside me changed. I stopped being the victim. I stopped being the woman who accepted crumbs of affection. I stopped being invisible. I became the woman who fights, who doesn't give up, who protects her own regardless of the cost. And if I had to do it again, if I could go back to that moment, would I change anything? No, I wouldn't change anything. Because now, sitting in my room, with Liam sleeping in the room downstairs, with Michael healing little by little, with my life rebuilding piece by piece, I know it was worth it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, it was all worth it. It's been 2 years since that Christmas night, 2 years since I fell into the water, 2 years since I sent that email that changed everything. It is the morning of December 25th again, but this Christmas is different. It is 7:15 in the morning. The sun is just starting to rise. I am in the kitchen of the house, my house, making coffee. The smell fills the whole ground floor, rich, familiar, comforting. Liam will come down soon. He is 3 years old now. Last night he could barely sleep from excitement. The gifts under the tree, the cookies we left for Santa Claus, the magic of Christmas seen through a child's eyes. Michael is better, much better. He finished therapy 6 months ago. He started dating someone, a woman named Carmen, a school teacher, simple, kind, real, everything Vanessa never was. I like Carmen. She doesn't try to replace anyone. She doesn't pretend. She is simply herself, and she treats Liam with genuine tenderness. I hear small steps on the stairs. Liam appears in the kitchen, hair messy, dinosaur pajamas, eyes shining with excitement. "Lita, it's Christmas!" I pick him up. He's heavy now, but I can still hold him. I am still strong enough. "Merry Christmas, my love." He hugs me, his arms around my neck, his smell of sleep and childhood. These are the moments I almost lost, the moments Vanessa tried to take from me. Michael comes down next. He smiles when he sees us. "Good morning, Mom." "Good morning, son." We have breakfast together. Pancakes, fruit, orange juice. The table is full, not of expensive food, not of appearances, but of family, of laughter, of real love. Afterward, we open gifts. Liam tears the paper with frenzy, screams with joy with every toy. A dinosaur, building blocks, books with colorful drawings. They gave me something too, Michael and Liam. A box wrapped in gold paper. I open it slowly. Inside is a frame, and in the frame a photo. Of the 3 of us, Liam, Michael, and me, taken a month ago at the park. The 3 of us smiling, the sun shining. A perfect moment captured forever. My eyes fill with tears. "So you never forget that you are part of this family," Michael says. "Forever." I hug the frame against my chest. Tears fall. But they are tears of happiness, of gratitude, of peace. In the afternoon, Vanessa comes to pick up Liam. She has a delayed Christmas Eve visit. 4 hours, those are the judge's rules. She arrives at 3 o'clock sharp, rings the bell. Michael opens. I stay in the living room. Vanessa enters briefly, only to the entrance, no further inside, never further inside. She looks tired, hair not so shiny anymore, clothes presentable but not luxurious. The marks of time, of consequences, of the life she built on lies, and that collapsed. "Hi, Liam," she says with a soft voice. "Hi, Mommy." Liam goes to her, but not with the same enthusiasm he has with me or Michael. It is different, more cautious. Children know. They always know. Before leaving, Vanessa looks at me for a second. Our eyes meet, and in that look I see something I didn't expect to see. Defeat, but also acceptance. As if she finally understood, finally admitted she lost not because I won, but because she destroyed something that could have been beautiful. I don't say anything, neither does she. There is nothing to say. Everything was already said. Everything was already exposed. Everything was already resolved. They take Liam. The door closes. Michael sighs. "It gets easier every time," he says. I know. Do you ever stop wondering if you did the right thing? I look at him, my son, my boy who became a man who had to learn the hardest lessons in the most painful way. No, I never stop asking myself. But then I look at Liam, I look at you, I look at this life we have now, and I know that if I hadn't done anything, if I had stayed silent, we would have lost much more. He nods, sits next to me on the sofa. "Thanks, Mom, for not giving up, for fighting, for saving me from myself. Parents do whatever is necessary, always." That night, when Liam is back and sleeping in his bed, when Michael retires to his room, when the house falls silent, I go out to the garden. I walk to the pool. That pool where everything changed. The lights are off. The water is still, reflecting the moon, calm, beautiful. I sit at the edge, my bare feet touching the cold water. I look at my reflection. A 60-year-old woman now, more wrinkles, grayer hair, but stronger eyes, straighter back, more solid presence. I think of that night, 2 years ago, the humiliation, the pain, the laughter, the cameras. I think of the decisions I took, the proof I gathered, the email I sent, the life I destroyed to save my own. Was it revenge? Was it justice? Was it love? Maybe it was everything. Maybe it was none. Maybe it was simply what had to happen. Because life isn't like stories. There are no perfect good guys and bad guys. There are no completely happy endings. There are difficult decisions, consequences, scars that never fully heal. But there are also moments of grace, of redemption, of second chances. And I learned something in these 2 years. I learned that real love isn't staying silent. It isn't accepting crumbs. It isn't making everything okay when it isn't. Real love is fighting. It is defending. It is protecting. Even when it hurts. Even when it costs everything. I learned that dignity isn't staying still while you are trampled. It is keeping your head high. It is waiting for the right moment. It is executing your plan with precision. I learned that forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It means letting go of the poison, but never forgetting the lessons. And I learned that sometimes the only way to save someone you love is to let them fall. Let them hit rock bottom so they can be reborn stronger. I get up from the edge of the pool. My wet feet leave prints on the stone floor. I walk back to the house, my house, where my family sleeps, where my life is. Before entering, I look back one last time, toward the pool, toward that place where I fell, where I was humiliated, where everything ended, and where everything began. I smile, not with bitterness, not with pain, but with peace. Because I survived, because I fought, because I won. Not in the perfect way, not without scars, but I won. And if this story teaches you anything, if these words mean anything to you, let it be this. Never let anyone make you invisible. Never accept being treated as less. And never, never underestimate the power of a woman who has decided that enough is enough. Because when that woman stands up, when that woman fights, when that woman says no more, the whole world trembles. And I stood up, and the world trembled. And here I am, standing, strong, complete. Merry Christmas to all those who fight, to all those who resist, to all those who refuse to be invisible. This is my story, and now it is also yours.